Everyone enjoys getting out on the town for some live music. And there's nothing like going backstage and down the hall for a VIP pass to the inside information and interviews with the bands, singers, and songwriters that you enjoy. Welcome to All Around Town Radio.
Working for the weekend, and I want to see a show. I flip on the poker face. Yeah, I know where to go. There's a man on there into the music scene.
I am.
Showing lots of love for the community. With great advice, I know who I should go see.
Who's that?
So All Around Town Radio
Show. How you doing, Ceris?
I'm well. How are you, Scott?
I'm great today. Glad to be with you on a hot topic.
Glad to be with you.
Super duper. It is.
Super duper.
You know what today is?
What is it?
First of all, today is the day I need to take that stupid picture out from in between us. Let me see if I can figure it out. Yeah, do we really want that to be there? No. But today is Your Opinion Matters Day. So people are going to talk. But also nationally today is Plan for Vacation Day. It's National Plan Your Vacation Day.
Oh.
Are you excited about that?
I've never been more excited about something in my life.
Well, you'll even be more excited about the next one. It's National Hot Chocolate Day, too.
How did you know? Those are two of my favorite things.
Well, I have this fun little calendar right here that tells me what all the national days are. Isn't that special?
I think you're special.
You're really. Where's your bow today? You're being very nice.
Oh, my bow. I had to put the bows away for today, but it'll be back.
It could be a boa.
It would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Let's see who's checking in with us today.
Johnny Fink's got a pink bow ready.
Who does?
Johnny Fink. He's wearing a pink bow today, he said.
It's probably one of those neckties like Magic Mike wears. Johnny Fink. Hi, Glenn. Thanks for being here. He says, and on with the show. Carrie, how are you? Thank you. Billy Sutherland from White Knuckle Weekend. Thank you for being with us. Mr. Johnny Fink. Ray Renee, how are you?
Hi, guys.
Say hi to everybody, Ceris. Marie.
Hi, everybody.
Steve Stein. Hi, Steve Stein.
Steve. Hello, Marie. Hello, Ray. Hello, Johnny. I was just speaking to Johnny, actually. Hi, Casey.
Casey Gomez. I saw
Casey.
Ceris. Unreal. I mean, you talk about hitting a home run out of the park completely. They killed.
Yeah. Casey's joining Johnny Fink and Gina for the Gina and Johnny band this month.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. That's awesome. I think that's fantastic. I've always wanted to hear him sing with Gina more, and we want to see that happen. And certainly with Johnny and his bluesy style. Jamie Minnick, hi.
Hi, Heath.
Heath's here. How are you, Heath? Heath made his debut with Route 88 over the weekend. And
how'd that go?
As a front man, mind you, a guy with no guitar in front of him or anything. I bet that was awkward for a while.
There's one of my favorite humans, Kevin McCoy.
Did it. Really? You think he's one of your favorite humans?
I just really like his energy.
I think he's got beautiful hair. He
does have beautiful hair. I love his stage presence. I love everything. He's just good.
He's a good dude. He is. I don't get to see Kevin as much as I'd love to because he's a wonderful person to hang out with and be around. And yes, Chris, how are you? Hallmates. All right. Is that like cellmates, but worse? I don't know. Melissa in the house.
All around town. You don't get it?
I get it, honey. I get it. I love your hair today, by the way. Oh, you're looking on point. Thanks. Bill says, hi, kids. There's Rick and Trina being here. And Ray says she takes her break from work just to watch his. Aw. Ray, we love you.
Thanks, Ray.
What else we got, Ceris? Anybody else checking in out there? Rachel's in the house. How you doing, Rachel?
Oh, Rachel. I love you. I miss you. I was just chatting with her yesterday.
Look, Heath Bowling says, hi, Ceris.
Hi, Heath.
He doesn't say hi to me, but he says hi to you.
Nobody knows you.
Am I clicking or are you clicking?
Oh, that's me. I'm being annoying. My bad.
Oh, okay. Were you like tapping your fingernails or something?
No, I don't have fingernails. It's a pen.
Oh, I see. One of those little quirks you have. It's all right.
I have to always do something with my hands.
Yes, Bill Burley in the house. How you doing, Bill? And Heath Bowling saying it was a whole lot of fun. Great crowd at first.
Good.
For first gig.
First gig.
Yeah. Over the nice things. That's awesome to hear.
I think it's all there's certain when I go into work, sometimes I'm overwhelmed and I get a little like, oh, there's so many. I love that feeling though. Still exciting. It's like the first time.
Being called Scooter too. I have old family that used to call me that, and it's nice to hear that every once in a while. And Scotty was what my mom called me growing up. Rachel is in the house throwing hearts at us as always. Skip from Liars for Hire. Jamie Minnick. Greg St. Charles. How are you? This is a topic. Let's get started, Karis. You ready?
Oh, yeah. I'm super ready.
Chris Reese, I got to see him Friday night down at Pullman Lanes. She was checking out CFT.
She really liked the band. She was saying that.
Oh, she loved the band. She did. DJ Dave Kale in the house, and he's going to be joining us. Let me get a shameless plug in for Dave Kale and the Autism Rocks folks. At the end of the show, we'll tell you all about it, but I'm going to have a bunch of Autism Rocks people on the show tomorrow at 5:00, and we'll do a little promo video for you at the end of the show for Autism Rocks as well. So stick around with us. DJ Dave Kale in the house. Mrs. Hall around town has joined us today. Thank you.
Look, Dave Taylor's here too.
I love Dave Taylor. I haven't seen Dave Taylor on here in a long time. Thank you, Dave Taylor.
Dave Taylor was there at the bar on Saturday. I like when he shows up. He's got such a good vibe.
He's awesome.
Amazing.
He rocks the stage anytime.
Yeah, he could literally go on. Like I could watch him all day.
Yes, he plays an awesome guitar and sings incredibly. Dave Taylor, we love you, man. We do. Mm-hmm. More Aaron Thomas on Thursday. I agree. I love Aaron.
I agree.
He's cool. Well, let me chat about something here real quick. Let's do the intro and then we'll get to some of these comments. Thank you, Heath, for that. He's here to oversaturate the comments section. Ha ha ha. So let's talk about it. It's Music Oversaturation Day today. And, oversaturation, Karis, kind of infringes every corner of music. Some people, play their hits to death. Radio used to play things so much people got sick of them, but not quite as much as the live music scene does it really become a present force. Bands start out with so much eagerness when they get started. They want to play as many gigs as possible. And, any gig's a good gig at that point to get. And unfortunately, they can go down this rabbit hole of craziness that they get booked so much in the same place, in the same town, in the same location that the fans start to diminish or their followers start to diminish at the shows because either one or two things happen. And it came up on the notes today as people were writing in. Either the band plays the same songs every time they play, or they just play too much at one spot and people just say, I saw them 2 weeks ago there. I'm going to go somewhere else tonight, just to spice up life. You're unique in a way because you have some residencies that take place at your place. Obviously, Jamie Combs on Tuesday night and the Jam on Thursday, but and then some hit or miss residencies that are like once a month. But what's your take on this? Can you overplay a venue, you think?
Yes, 100%. And I'm guilty of that. And I think that's why I think maybe residencies kind of stopped because it wasn't building any more business. It was just maintaining, or eventually I think it will lose. So I think that's why maybe those like the 5-day-a-week residency, as you and I spoke about before, why those kind of stop, because eventually people are just going to get bored and they're going to move on. And I'd honestly, you can hold on to them a little bit longer by changing your set list, but eventually it's the same guy or the same girl doing the same thing. And it just gets a little dull. But I mean, I still do it. I have a residency, and for like acoustic.
I tend to agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think it's a fine line because I'll go back in time and I'll date myself, but back, let's say early 80s. All right. There were many bands in Cincinnati and Dayton and those areas that played 5 nights a week at the same place. They called it a house band. They played the same place, and the customers turned over every night in those places. You had your regulars that followed you, and they were there every night, but the customers turned over. Now it seems to have flip-flopped. It's like people go to the same bar, but they want to see different music every night.
Yeah, yes. And also, unfortunately, some of the people that the regulars won't come to the bar because they're sick of hearing the same things, unfortunately.
Oh, and I will tell you, there are bands that I dearly love in this town, and I've been to their shows, and I've really, I've probably fallen off that wagon a little bit because I could go tell you what the next song's going to be.
That's the problem. Like, it's too much. And that's why, I know the Jam, we try to switch up that opening set as much as possible. Cause that can get boring, it has to be different. If it's going to be the same people and the same vibe and same people, then it has to be a different vibe each time.
And, this whole thing with oversaturation, it can be a lot of different versions of that. I think
yes.
it can be, you play the same venue too much, and you see that. I mean, I get those venues that send me their stuff, and I'm like, wow, they're in a 4-band rotation. It's monthly that these bands are playing there. Now on an acoustic night, that's not so bad. But if you're doing a live band for the weekend, I sometimes wonder that, is that kind of suicide for you to do that kind of thing?
For a weekend, I think.
4 bands play all the time on Saturday night. If they're drawing people, maybe it works for a while, like you said, but it does start to fade away eventually. And, COVID really created a thing where everybody came out of COVID booking their tried and tested bands. They wanted to get them back in there. They know they bring a crowd. They wanted to build that audience back into their live music venues and that kind of thing. But now I'm starting to see and I'll use, for example, right next to me here, Mr. Burroughs, Heathers, they have reached out and broadened their horizons some to bring other people in. And I'm glad to see that, because a lot of our comments today, Ceris, said it's so hard to go 50 miles away from home or 25 miles away from home and get a gig because all they know is the bands that are right there in their backyard. And I think that's kind of true sometimes.
Well, it's not just true, but it's also, it goes back to, yes, this is a business too. So it's hard to book a gig that's 50 to 100 miles away because people aren't going to come to that, whereas if you book a band that's closer to you, that they're going to be able to bring their following more. So, so a bar has to get to that point where they can afford to do that. And if they can't, because then they're still relying on that band to bring a following as well as the bar's following. And I think weekends is very different than during the week. Like I try to do once a month gigs. Like, you have once a month. I have Name That Tune Trivia. Once a month, I have Rick Kern. Once a month, I have the Gina and Johnny. Tuesday is really the only day that I have, Jamie Combs consistently. And we started that during like the COVID, and he's like our little brother, you know what I mean? That's just like something different, but it's tough to book gigs that are so far away. And I think that's why there's so many of the same bands playing.
Well, one thing I got to say about Jamie's show too, it's different than most residencies you see where it's the same guy on the stool singing. Because Jamie he has such a friend base.
It is a jam. It is an acoustic jam. Yeah. He tries to switch it up.
It's different every night. I mean, it's not the same thing, day in, day out. He's not playing the same songs, all that. And I know Heath knows he's played a lot of solo gigs. And if you don't change up your set, you're shooting yourself in the head, man. You're just, people are going to get tired of hearing that same old song every time they come hear you play it. That's what I love. I heard Shane DeMoss recently. He added so many songs to his solo list that, I think that was awesome that he did, because it was a really different show.
Mm-hmm. He's a smart musician. We're trying to bribe him to come on Thursday.
So how often do you think bands should play a local venue? What should that rotation be? If you're out there, guys, we want your comments. So tell us, how often should you play the same venue?
I think you shouldn't. I think a band shouldn't play more to 3 to 5 times a year at a certain venue. personally speaking. When I first opened and I didn't have the funds or I didn't have anything, it was like a 6-week rotation because I also didn't know anybody and I was new. But now I try not to do more than 3 or 5.
3 or 5 times.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny Fink saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've heard people say, oh, we put this band because they draw so well on a 6-week rotation. And that's venue specific. I mean, that's venue owner, that's their choice, I guess. And, but if it's the same 6 bands every 6 weeks, then you start to see this pattern of this, people start to die off in there. They're not going to do that.
You can't do that, but you also have to start somewhere, so for a new venue, they don't have the same black book as somebody who's been around. So they only know a certain amount of places. And a lot of times the bands, like the good bands, won't book with a brand new venue who doesn't yet have that budget. So it is hard to build it up to get to that point. But like I was, like I said in the beginning, I was kind of, working my ass off to try to get new bands there, but I only had a handful that I could actually use. Now it's different. I got lots of bands that are trying to play, and I'm just trying to find the right ones.
And what's interesting is something, thanks Ray Renee for that comment. She says 3 to 4 public gigs a month. And Heath Bowling saying once a month as a solo and every other month for a band. And, if you bounce around to different venues and you do that once a month as a solo, and they're doing it different nights of the week and all that kind of thing, that's a cool thing. I think it's good that they give you that opportunity to play. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if they're going to book you every month, they like you. I mean, that you do something for their business, because if you ran people off, you wouldn't be getting booked every month, I don't think.
Right.
Hey, the dogs are barking.
Sorry, they're outside.
Are they?
Yeah.
Did you put them out just for the show?
I think so. I think Jim might have done it.
No,
yeah.
You shouldn't do that. You should have him right in your lap.
Well, I have Mr. Bear right here.
Yeah, how's Bear doing today?
He's good.
Right. So let's see what else people are saying. Kevin McCoy says 3 to 6 times a year. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. I think that works very well. What do we got? Chris saying no more than twice a month for the same venue. Okay, there's a little different opinion on some things.
I think that would be a bit much, in my opinion.
I think it depends on the show. I mean, if it's a full band show, yes, I think that's too much.
Well, that's different. If it's like, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking full band, like the same band twice a month. Yeah. If it's like an acoustic gig and then a band.
Obviously you're successful on Tuesday nights, or you wouldn't have Jamie playing every Tuesday. So, I mean, there's got to be some people coming in to see him play. What you've done once a month with Gina and Johnny and Rick Kern and those people, that's successful. I mean,
those work better.
Yeah. And I know, and Tuesdays are a hard night. I'll tell you that. I mean, I do trivia Tuesdays, and it's a struggle to get people out on Tuesday night. It is.
Yeah.
Now.
Tuesdays is a very tough night.
Used to be a great night, but now people are only going out a few nights a week, with the economy, with things going on, they're watching their pennies, and I get it. And, it's tougher sometimes, but the whole music business has evolved, and it's a continually, spiraling thing, I guess, because you never know where it's going to go next and what's going to turn people on. But oversaturation, as we're talking about today, and one of the things that just sticks in my, is when a band books within a mile of each other, the same venue, Friday night and Saturday night. That is plainly ignorant and just taking a gig to take a gig. It happens around us here at Mr. Burroughs, Heather's, the Barrel. I mean, and unfortunately, as a venue owner, you don't have time every time you book somebody to call up and say, "Hey, Marcy, you got these people within the next."
No, I asked the band. I try to remember to ask the band. I said, "Where are you playing on this Friday?" Because I honestly much prefer to like one gig a weekend for bands. And I also think that would bring more people to their shows if they didn't oversaturate themselves by playing too much. I mean, I can have a list of bands that have played at my venue that when they were only really playing once, one a weekend or one or two gigs a month, 3 gigs a month, they brought so many more people to the venue, like so many more people to the bar. But now when they play Friday and Saturday and it's pretty much every single weekend, or, it cuts so much. I mean, you can just see it in the numbers.
Yeah, and the numbers, we've said it on every topic we've talked about on this show, ends up with the venue owner going back to the numbers. I mean, they want their customers to be happy, but you're in business. It's all about the numbers, and if you can love that artist that's playing, and I mean, Heath will tell you he's played places where, it's the same two guys at the bar tonight that I played last month to. And you start to wonder,
well, I mean,
why are people booking music in a place that you got to have some client base before you can have live music? You do. And it's not all the band's responsibility or artist's responsibility to bring it. I don't think it's a two-way street. We've talked about that.
Well, I personally think it kind of sounds pretty lazy on the venues owners booking. Like on my part, I mean, do you want new customers or not? I don't know.
Well, that goes back to that old adage, buy a bar. It'll be cool to sit and drink with your friends. There are people in the business that way. There are, and we know that happens. But for the most part, a person who's got live music is invested in that. And
well, you would hope.
One of our live music venues locally here that was having live music 2 or 3 nights a week just closed up, and I hated to see them go. They sold their business, going to become another Mexican restaurant. And, we've got a few of those where I live, but it's so sad to see that happen because they really did support live local music and brought a lot of good bands there and a lot of good artists there. So was that, I don't know, was it oversaturation? They tended to have some of the same artists over and over, but every time I was ever in there, they had a pretty good crowd for them. So I don't know. I'm reading Bill's comment here real quick, and I know there's a ton of them rolling in. Casey Gomez, that's great. He said 1 to 2 gigs a month. Let me tell you.
Way behind.
Saturday night, Casey Gomez, you could tell people were starving for his music.
Friday night.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, Friday night. Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you keep me in line. Friday night at Pullman Lanes, because the Ham Fam, as they call them, from Hamilton, was there in force. I mean, there were 400 people in this place, man, and they were all eager to hear Casey and the band. So pretty cool, I think. But I don't know. Some people throw some comments in there. I'm trying to get to your comments on the screen, but Heath says, I get out of Ohio. Yeah, I admire you for that, Heath. You drive to a gig. And we talked about canceling gigs a couple of weeks ago and how people tend to cancel the ones that are 30 minutes away. You go to some places and play, and that gives you a new variety of folks and a new follower base. I mean, the people from Lawrenceburg, Indiana aren't going to drive to Springboro, Ohio and hear you play most of the time. And frankly, it's tough for me to drive to the Bell and the Bear some nights.
Right.
It's been a long day. It's a 30-minute drive there. It's a 30-minute drive back for me. I love the venue, but you sometimes pick and choose. Like 5 minutes from my house is Mr. Burroughs. They've got a great band tonight. I'm going to go there for a bit.
And I just had this conversation with the band today, actually, about booking, and they live quite far away, and I'm not against it. And I understand their side that they charge more because they need to cover their gas because it's a long drive, right? Which makes sense. But then the other part of that is, so I guess that's on the venue to pay for that. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, nobody's going to drive 2-3 hours to see that band. So no. I'm not actually gaining anything from booking that band financially.
And Karis, that is why so often Nashville acts, and I will say this, I love the folks who play in Nashville, don't get me wrong. Right. But they go on this little mini tour and they bounce from town to town to town to play, and they draw no one because no one knows them.
Correct.
Throw their name out and it's like, who the hell is that? Well, in Nashville, they may pack Broadway or something. Who knows? But in, Batavia, Ohio, they're not going to bring anybody. And it's so sad.
It's sad. And it's tough to book those bands, and you want to, but it doesn't, if it hurts your bottom line, you can't always do it.
Yes, Douglas, you're correct there. And Dallas Moore's a master at touring and getting out and playing places and getting his name out there. But, somebody said, Robert Weber said, we see that a lot in Hamilton. Blue Ash, Johnny Fink. I try not to play both weekend nights. Yeah. And he says, I'm too old for that. But I get that. And so many of these bands will, and God love them. I've seen some of the greatest local bands up here play Heathers one night and Mr. Burroughs the next. And it just absolutely drives me crazy.
And that's just damaging both. Like, that's damaging both. Like, they're going to choose one. That's not benefiting you as an artist. Because I know when I had a band that used to do that to me all the time. Now I just don't book them. Now you just lost another venue. And there are not that many. And I get it. I get that some of this is your livelihood. And I get that. But you're going to lose the venues if you keep doing that. Because if you're not bringing the people, it's hard for them to book you.
Absolutely. Casey says there's also a big difference when it's a musician's main source of income.
And that's true. That's what I'm saying. It's tough. Yes.
And I think Kevin Cooper summed it up today. And I don't think he's on here right now, but Kevin Cooper posted in our comments a perfect statement. And that was, many artists now are diversifying into different little spinoff projects. And like he has Eyes Up Here, he has the Hanky Panks, he has his solo gigs. So when Kevin Cooper plays, you see a different variety of the Coop, as we call him. And I think that's cool. And you see that happening with Shane DeMoss doing solo and Until Rust a duo and all those kind of things. And Heath's with Route 88 now doing a totally different thing than he's doing as a solo artist. Or when he's with Beauty and the Beast, he's playing with Tessa. And that's a whole different show. So I would gladly go to those shows a couple nights a week than I would going to see just the same old set list and the same old guy and the same old three people that follow him in the front row. I hate to say that, but that's what happens. Are you with me?
I am. I'm reading Dave Taylor's comment.
Okay. I'm rolling here to see if I can find it. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up on the comments. We appreciate you all being here. We've got a huge audience today and a lot of comments.
I don't know what it is with Dave Taylor, but even if I think the interns play quite a bit, but they're never in the same area. I never think of the interns or Dave Taylor as oversaturating because you put on such a show. Like they put on such a show that there's just it seems different every single time. That's the one.
And full-time musicians, I get it. That's your source.
Yeah, I get it. It's tough. Yeah,
it is. And what's tough is the limited number of venues you can book in. And unfortunately, that's the problem too. And, a lot of people got away from live music during the COVID period and didn't go back to it. And that's a shame. But they found, I can turn touch tunes on some night and have those same 10 people. And it's unfortunate those kind of venues probably weren't cut out to be music venues to begin with. But, because everything they made that night, they were paying an artist to play. And that's a hard thing, too, because you can't ever win that way. You've got to have profit in there.
You have to profit.
Let me here. I saw a comment from Marcy. Let me see what she said.
Different Marcy.
She books musicians been 60 days apart. Yeah. And, so many national acts, the venues that book national acts have a 90-day venue issue or, proximity issue that you can't play 90 days or 90 miles within 90 miles. And that's kind of things that happen. Go ahead, Karis. I can't talk.
Oh, well, I was going to read a comment, but now breathe. Don't leave us now, Scott.
It's the big one. Here we go. Oh my God. Hey, stay with me after the show. I have to ask you something too. Okay. Karis, just while I'm reminding you.
Ooh.
We're going to do a big thing, not this week's jam, but next week's jam. We got some things going on, and I want to chat with you about that. See if your availability is good.
Availability.
And Marcy's always been one that does that. And she tries to talk to Heather, I know, down at Heather's and see who's playing, but it happens sometimes. You get that back-to-back booking, and that hurts. It does, because one crowd, the live local music crowd in a proximity of 10 miles of any business, just like yours, Karis, 10 or 20 minutes away, they're going to go to venues that are close to home. They're going to go there. They're going to have a few beers and they're going to go home and, those kind of things. So they're going to pick what's near them. And
exactly.
If it's Eddie, they'll keep coming to your bar.
Well, if it's on the same week, like a couple of times this year, some of my biggest bands booked a show on their side of town one night and then the show on the other side of town, which was me. And and most of their fans are from their side of town, obviously, that I lost out on so much business because of that. And that's when I'm like, selfishly, this is a purely selfish thought, but as like a business owner, I'm like, you can't play, I wish you didn't have to play more than, once a weekend, but they're trying to make a living. I get that. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, it does affect the bottom line.
And some bands have the luxury, and let's talk about our friends from DV8. They have the luxury of that is not their sole source of business and income. But yet it's a very lucrative one for them because they're so good and they get paid a high dollar to go places, but they don't necessarily play every night, every weekend. They take some time to themselves and they take some time off. And I think they have that luxury. And Heath, throw in the comments, Heath is saying a lot today. He's oversaturating our comments. So as he said earlier, Heath, tell us how many shows you played last year. If you have that number, throw it in there because I want to talk about that for a minute. Heath's one of those guys who earns a living at this. I mean, he does. He has other lines of employment, but this is his source of income and taking care of his family and those kind of things. So throw it in there if you can. And what's Cincinnati Local and Live say? Is exactly what you're both talking about. Would love to chat. All right. And he says Dallas Moore gave him the blueprint for success and it's working. So I ain't fixing it. There you go. And thanks for giving Dallas that shout out. Ceris, you see any other comments I need to put up there? I'm trying to scroll through them, but you're quicker at that than I am here as I'm running the board.
Oh, I'm just trying to catch up. I don't know what Dallas Moore's blueprint is, but I do know he's very talented.
Well, I think his blueprint for traveling around and playing shows in other places within a couple hours of yourself is one that's a good one that he does. And I've seen that with him. He's not in the same place twice over the weekend and those kind of things. He says it's not easy remembering these damn lyrics anymore. Thank you, Heath. Let's see what else. Variety is good. Douglas Hunt says, yeah, variety is good. People love variety. The days of the house band are over. I mean, they are. It may come back someday, but those days are over. That was the 80s, man. And you could go to the rock club and Flywheel played and this band played and Prisoner played at the same bar 4 nights a week and all those things. That's over with right now. So people want variety and they want to go to the venue that's close to them and they feel comfortable in. And I was talking to Steve from Mad Hatter about this last Thursday when he was there playing that great Van Halen tribute, Ceris. And he said, this place just has a vibe that makes him feel comfortable being there. And, there are bars you go into that you don't feel that way. You feel very out of place or you feel like it's just cold and not, your place is one of those that, I love. And people bash on me for talking a lot about the Bell and the Bear, but hell, I'm there a lot. So I'm going to talk about it. That's our show, but
sorry.
Yeah. I talk about other venues when I go to. I talked about Pullman Lanes yesterday like it was, going out of style because I was there Friday and Saturday. And, I
heard it was so fun both nights.
Let me tell you, it was a stellar party. And Mr. Hollywood down there, he is the general manager and he's gold. He's golden. And the bands love him. The people love him. And that's what's important in a venue,
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I want to meet him.
He's
being out there.
You have met him, but
I do. No, I changed it. I'd like to go to his place and see.
Never get to talk much, and that's the problem. I sat with Michelle Robinson that night as she was there on Saturday. We joked about, we never get to talk to each other. She's always playing a gig. I'm at her gig, and she waves, and I wave, and that's about all you get. So it's fun to chat. And Casey Gomez came over also and sat and chatted for a while. And what a nice guy he is. What a super duper guy he is, as you say. What else we got? Any comments coming in we need to address today? Everybody needs more Aaron Thomas.
It's true.
We need more Steve as well on that guitar, man.
We need Aaron Thomas and Steve together in a band. That's what we need.
All right. There it is. 233 shows and 54 open mics. Still lost to Dallas Moore. So is that oversaturation? He doesn't play the same areas. I don't think so. I mean, it's not like I know that I can go see Heath Bowling 5 nights a week somewhere at one venue. He's out and about, but he works hard to get booked. Think about that, Ceris. 233 shows.
I think that's impressive.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If it works for him and the venues, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means. I'm not bashing that by any means. I just know what works well with my venue.
And oversaturation, as Kevin Cooper called me out on today, is a little bit vague when you start to say that. And I laughed about that because I know where he was coming from. Oversaturation can be taken a lot of ways. You can oversaturate yourself on social media. Trust me. There are people And but bands need to have a social media presence, and they also need to have events done, whether or not the venue takes your co-host or whatever happens. Put your own events up, because if I want to go see you, I'm going to your page and I'm going to say, where are they tonight? And you don't have to create one of the Facebook events. Just put it in your page that says this weekend we're at here.
No, you should create a Facebook event. You should 100% create a Facebook event. I'm creating a Facebook event from the bands, and the bands need to create a Facebook event, and not the day of and not the day before. At least 1 week prior to your event, you should be making a Facebook event.
Okay. There you go.
Put in the same effort as I am.
You're very socially media savvy.
And it works.
Social media savvy. And it does work. You built that. And unfortunately, some hacker took it away from you. And you had to
rebuild it.
And you're rebuilding it fast. Yeah. So if you're watching the show tonight, go to the Bell and the Bear and like their page if you haven't yet. And you know what I see too, and I'm going to say this for the people that are watching, because we got a bunch. Go look. When you're done with this show, go look and see what your status is with All Around Town Radio as well. Because I see when you like something, whether you're invited or whether you've liked our page. And everybody that likes something on our page, if it says invite, I hit the invite button to have you there. And because you've interacted with us. So many of them. I mean, even people that have followed the show for 4 years now, it says invited still. So check your status and see what it is and like that, because you're going to get notifications. You're going to see our post. You're going to see what we're going to do for the topic of the day and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a soapbox, but got a few more minutes here. We got to go in just a minute, Ceris, but we're running long today. Oversaturation. Heath says 2-hour radius, first 5 years starting out. Okay. And yeah, what else you got? Anything else in there, Ceris? You're seeing
Mr. Burroughs Tavern, and Steve, Heath, and Mr. Burroughs Tavern with the Facebook events. And Heath, I think it's that's exactly my thought. It's like you don't care. You're just there to get on stage, get your money, and leave. And that's great. I'm glad. I'm super glad that you get paid. But I'm probably not going to book you, at least not as much, and you won't be getting any more. You have to care. I care. You got to care.
And I will say, in defense of some musicians, and I see it myself, and Marcy and I have dealt with it as well with the trivia nights, even when I do an event there. When you co-host somebody, oftentimes now we used to get a notification that says you've been invited as a co-host.
You don't get it.
You don't get it anymore.
Yeah,
so
you don't
get it.
Yeah, I don't get any co-host invitations hardly ever, because I think people are inviting my old page. So just, I think it's best that both parties make the event and save their own ass, because that's what's important. And I make all my events on Sundays. And the reason I do, some of them I do early, but the reason I do Sundays is people will forget if you make it too far in advance. But what I do is at the beginning of the month, I post who's playing for the month. And then I make events on Sundays and post those. And then on a daily basis, I X out, what's left happening in the week.
And I love when you do that, because I can go to that directly and see what's happening. I mean,
exactly.
I can't see what's going on at your place. And so often when the missus and I go out looking for a place on a Friday night or something, that's the case. We'll look at the events, or we'll look at our list from Thursday. And if I can't find it, probably not going to be there. Kevin Cooper has a great one. If the venue accepts your co-host invite, you're 100% not double booked. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because communication isn't always the best when it comes to bookings. And he says he makes show posters and puts them on the Book of Face. I know I see him do that.
I do that too. Yeah.
Yep. And just take the effort. And Marcy says, reminds me your co-host didn't come through again. Yeah, it's on there. I looked at it today because I saw it wasn't on your page. So and again, we're at the mercy of social media platform, folks, and it can be really challenging. and they change it. I saw the Little River Bar and Grill posted today. We're sorry, the Facebook has moved our events tab again, buried it in the more column, and they were trying to find a way to move it back, and it didn't show any way to move it back where you used to be able to put it up in the front of your page. And so if anybody knows how to do that, reach out to Little River Bar and Grill and get it fixed for them. What else? We got to go. We're running super long, but
Cincy Local Live, of course, Facebook shouldn't be the only solution, but it is. And until somebody creates somewhere where we can reach over a gazillion people, it's going to have to be.
Absolutely.
And I get that that's what you're trying to do, but it is the only solution at this point. Tim Butterfield, Crown Watts is a perfect example. They do not oversaturate themselves. And every show they do is usually pretty darn busy. So you are right. And Steve, I agree with that. It does lose value when it's interested. Non-committal is never even good for any situation.
Right. And if you're going to go to an event, hit the going button because people
it helps.
Your page. It does help. It helps so much. I struggle with that all the time with people. It's like, please hit the going button. And that gives us an idea of how many people we're going to have there, first of all. It's kind of cool. I mean, if you see 45 people coming to an event and 300 interested, you're going to have a good crowd that night. You know, I mean, that's just the way the social works.
Right.
And Kevin says he's stuck on Facebook until you all hang out elsewhere online. Yeah, it's Facebook.
We all are.
Glenn Drew's been on me all this time. Oh, you got to do more on YouTube and all that. I can't buy a YouTube subscriber. I mean, you know, I'd be better off on TikTok doing dance videos with my fat ass.
Listen,
did I say that?
It doesn't matter.
You know what I mean?
People can yell at you. Here's the fact of the matter is Facebook is a necessary evil. It's just that, but it works. It works. So you use it. That's it.
There it is. Well, folks, we've been on here 40 minutes. We got to go. But we want to thank you for this great topic today. If you'd like your topic featured, and this one comes from our friend Bob Weber. Thank you, Bob, for submitting that to us today. If you'd like your topic featured, we would love to hear from you. Certainly would love to hear from you. Marcy says venues, free advertising, reps, monthly posters. Yeah.
I have my reps, my beer reps. They make my who's playing for the month posters, and they're free. And I post those all over the bar.
Perfect. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Casey. Jamie Combs has joined us. That's how he gets 99% of his work, and he hates it. Yeah, I know, but it's the necessary evil, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes. And what did Craig say? 2 left feet, you can't dance. How do you know I can't dance, Craig? I've led before with you, I think. Keep that in mind. All right.
Did I curse, Bob, or was it Scott cursed? I didn't curse today.
I cursed today.
Yeah. Fucker. He tried to blame me.
Oh my God. Did you just do it? You did. You came out of the chute today. Oh my God. You're killing me, girl. You are. Let's put that up on the screen. There we go. Parental advisory. Thanks for watching today, people. Hope you had a great time with us. We had a great time with you. Now I can't get that off the screen. Remember, your opinion matters. So feel free to leave us your thoughts if you're watching after we're live. And let me say a couple more things. I have trivia tonight, Mr. Burroughs. Come on down. That's my shameless plug, 7:00. Diana Halligan, great photographer out there.
Yes.
She's in the Women's Art Club of Hamilton. She has an art show tomorrow at the Fenton Center and Strauss Gallery in Hamilton. There's a big gala going on tomorrow night there. Check out her page for that. And also from February 4th to March 3rd during gallery hours, she'll be running that whole thing there and having her artwork featured. What are you looking at, Karis?
Tony Doparella's at the bell tonight. I didn't know it was the whole group. I got to put that on the Facebook. I love Stony Doparella. Secret stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for that shameless plug, Jamie Combs. I was giving him hell today about shameless plugs, but he's good at it. And go vote for Jamie Combs and the Bell and the Bear in the Best of Cincinnati. Give them a vote.
17 categories. We're doing something right.
Yes, Bill Burley, I love you. Yes, tomorrow's topic, dicks. All right. Well, damn, it just happened. Okay. He said just Rob and I. Perfect. All right, Stony Doparella.
I love Rob. I love Jamie. That's great.
Hey, tomorrow on the show, Ken Anderson Alliance will be here. Special guests, Ken Anderson himself is going to join us. Pam will be with us. Dave Kale, Kevin Potts, John from Crown Watts, Billy from the Billy Rock Band, and Johnny Fink. We're going to look like the Brady Bunch on this screen tomorrow. So join us for that show at 5 o'clock. And Ceris, I can't thank you enough for being my co-host and bestest.
I love you, Scotty.
I love you back.
Thanks for inviting me.
Let me leave with a video from Autism Rocks. Ceris, I'll catch you right after the show's over. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Bye, everybody.
Little 30-second spot for Autism Rocks right here.
Autism Rocks 14, presented by the Height Family Foundation, is a huge benefit in the fight against autism and raises money for the Ken Anderson Alliance. Sunday, February 19th from noon to 8 p.m. at Lori's Roadhouse in Westchester. Live music, a silent auction, plus personal appearances by local celebrities. Tons of fun and entertainment while raising money for the fight for people with disabilities. More information can be found on the Autism Rocks Cincinnati Facebook page or at Ken Anderson.